you also try this?
Yes.
Speaking of, sorry, I just have to throw this out there. Speaking of DMs, one of my favorite things to do when I'm just hanging out, like on looking at Instagram stories or something like that, is when you will post like creepy
screenshots of my
creepy DMs.
I had a guy message me the other day that said, "Hey, do news ladies ever sell their used shoes that they've worn on the news? I would love your old shoes."
What?
That's the weirdest one I've got to date. He was like, "Hey, like I would love to have some of your shoes," and I was like, "Well, they smell like Swiss cheese because I have sweaty feet, but I guess I could sell them." I didn't say that, but I thought,
How much you willing to spend?
yeah, exactly. I know. I was like, I need money, but he was like, "Do they ever sell like their used shoes? But like they have to be ones you've worn on TV." I was like,
Hey, this is Jerome.
This is Ginger.
And this is North Platte in a nutshell. And as you can see, if you are watching, we are joined by a couple of guests that may look familiar to some folks here in North Platte. We have Jace and Holly joining us.
Yep.
Thank you both for taking the time to come.
Yeah, thank you for having us.
It's
When
our
you
pleasure.
asked us, we were super excited. So
Yeah, absolutely. The reason we have you folks on is because you've been here about a year and a half.
yeah,
right?
good memory.
Yeah.
Yeah. And for some people who may or may not remember, just to give a little bit of history, before you moved here, Holly, you jumped on No Limits North Platte.
That's right.
And you said, hey, my husband and I are going to be moving to North Platte.
Yep.
What is there to do? Kind of getting an idea of what the city has to offer. And I think, I don't know, Ginger, shit show?
Oh, it was a shit show. Man.
Would that be?
A storm.
Yes, it was a shit storm.
It was a shitstorm, yes.
Of negativity that shocked many of us.
Well, and then what happened is we have friends, lots of friends who, obviously we don't think the town is a shithole or anything like that.
Yeah.
And like, no, okay, everybody stop.
Yep.
Let's go ahead and give them actually good things about the community.
Yes.
And I
And
think,
they did.
yeah.
Right.
I actually pulled
Parker.
up the post right here that I posted. So May 31st, 2018. Hello, my husband and I just accepted jobs in North Platte. We're moving from Salt Lake City in 2 weeks. We have never been to Nebraska before. We've done Google research, but would love any local advice on the generals. Where's best to eat? Don't go to this place. Bring X with you. Get all your makeup before you move because there's no Sephora, etc. Thank you. And then there's 451 comments.
Yeah.
I couldn't even possibly read through them all, but a lot of them were negative. And then my boss screenshot before we even moved here. She sent to my Gmail account. My boss, Jackie Harms, Holly, so sorry some people are negative about our town. I know it happens everywhere, but I'm glad to see Kirsten Parker stood up for you. She runs the Golden Spike, and you'll get to know her. Then she screenshotted something, and I wasn't friends with Kirsten at this point, so I couldn't see it. So that's why she screenshot and sent it to me. And she screenshotted my post in the No Limits, and she posted her personal page. It says, town proud moment needed. I'm furious after seeing this post. Someone posts how they're moving to our town and people used it as a way to bash and tell her not to move here. Friends, please go on, public or private, and welcome this lady and let her know your favorite of North Platte and some positive advice. We need to drown out those negative Nellies. This woman has got to be scared and wondering what the heck. And I cannot even express to you how many public and private messages I got. I couldn't even keep up with them. My inbox was destroyed. Like, I couldn't even write everybody back.
It broke the internet.
It really did. And then I moved here and people were like, hey, I was the one that messaged you. I'm like, I apologize. I got so many messages. I couldn't even write everybody back.
Yeah.
It was great.
Yeah.
That's good.
Yeah.
Well, and that, I think, tracing that back year and a half is kind of the catalyst for a lot of things that happened here in a positive way.
Yeah.
The I Am North Platte hashtag started around that time.
Yeah.
This podcast started around that time. People genuinely, the positive voices becoming louder than the negative voices really did start to pick up around that time.
That's right.
All because everybody looked at that post and they were like, this is insane.
Yeah.
It's insanity.
Yeah.
How so I guess reading the negative comments first, because that's what you got hit with first,
Right.
Yeah.
what was your initial thought? Was it like, what the hell did we get ourselves into? Like, what was
I'll
that?
let you go first and tell your side.
Well, so I was originally the one that applied for the job and everything else. And then I said, hey, my wife is actually in news as well. We both work for Fox 13 in Salt Lake City, and we're both wanting to do TV, that sort of thing. And so Jackie pulled up her resume or application that she put somewhere else and said, yeah, well, we'll take you both. And so we had given the commitment. We had signed everything. We were ready to go. And in news, you have to go to a small market if you want to be on, if you want to kind of climb the ranks a little bit. And so we knew that wherever we were going to go is going to be a small town, and we were okay with
We were
that.
prepared for that.
Yeah. In fact, when we rolled up, we thought it was going to be smaller than what it is because of the way people were talking.
One place to get your haircut.
Yeah.
One place to get your groceries. Like, I thought it was going to be that small. So when
Really?
it was bigger than that, we were like, all right, this is nice.
If you were basically to seclude just the downtown area, I thought that's what North Platte was going to be.
Yeah.
Right.
Without
Just the bricks.
thinking of everything else, I thought that was North Platte. And by the way, when you Google North Platte,
That's pretty much
all it shows is downtown and the Golden Spike and the railroads.
Right.
And so we kind of thought, okay, we're going to move to this town. There's going to be not a lot of people, and we're okay with that, whatever. And so I wasn't necessarily nervous, but I also kind of feel like I'm not really one to ever bash my own hometown, if that makes any sense. I'm really proud of where I'm from, even though it's, not a bad place or anything like that. I was just like, man, these people must really not like North Platte, Nebraska, if they're willing to essentially warn us about coming here. And so it kind of made me nervous just a little bit, but I also know, being in TV and radio for a while, that you always get responses by the most negative people.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Rarely do you ever get positive comments. Rarely. I mean, we get phone calls and emails and stuff like that about different stories and things. Every now and then we'll get somebody that's like, hey, that was a great story, or hey, you look great, or,
It's
whatever.
usually to complain, though.
Yeah, but it's usually a complaint. And so we're used to that. And so I wasn't necessarily scared, but I was definitely like, man, we're going to a town that's like super small or like whatever.
Yeah.
That's what I was going to say. I was used to it from being in news, but...
Well, and I was going to, and especially when you look at media markets, and I think North Platte is ranked the second smallest in the nation.
Yep.
For
Good memory.
real?
Yeah.
209
we're the second.
out of 210. It's like golf. You kind of want like a low number, and so we're 209 out of 210. 210's Glendive, Montana. So second to last as far as market size.
Wow.
And it's not like a ranking of like who's the best. It's the ranking of like how many eyeballs are on your TV.
Right. So, so seeing that, I mean, obviously, you see the pictures, it's second smallest. You're like, okay, so you would think it's only one place to get your haircut, one place to go grocery shopping.
So it was a pleasant surprise when we rolled into town and we're like, there's 3-4 places to get groceries. I mean, there's multiple of each thing. I thought it was just the cut and corral for your hair. Just one place.
Right.
The
So
loaf
there's
and
a
jug
lot-
is where everybody gets their...
Yeah, the loaf and jug.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So when it was bigger than that, because my sister lived in Evanston, Wyoming, so I was thinking it was going to be similar to that.
Yeah.
And we're like double their population. So I was like, okay. So I was pleasantly surprised when I rolled up and there was a lot more.
And honestly, the market ratings now, like, they're starting to discover that they're really not all that they seem, because we're a part of NBC Nebraska, and so essentially our stuff can run from, gosh, you could even get down as far as Omaha, Lincoln, clear up to Scotts Bluff. In fact, on the weekends, we simulcast with Scotts Bluff, who's technically, a part of the Cheyenne network. And so North Platte really doesn't pull up on that register, if that makes any sense. So really, we're probably just as big as Hastings or Lincoln or whatever else as far as it comes to broadcasting is concerned, because we have such a big reach.
And they run our stuff. We can share our content, so they're running our stories all the time all over the state.
Well, and you're the news hub, so to speak, of like McCook, Imperial, Stapleton, those kinds of places. I mean, you're traveling to do stories there.
All over.
Right, exactly. So, I mean, it's not just within the confines of the city limits.
Right.
We're a place like Lincoln. I mean, they expand a little bit, but for the most part, it's Lincoln news.
It's Lincoln.
It's
and
Kearney
they have
news.
competitors, but we don't have competitors, so if people want to tune into news that's local, they tune into us.
You are your own competitor with the CBS,
Yeah.
NBC, and Fox all in one building.
Yeah, it's nice.
So now that you've been here for a year and a half, and you've been, you kind of got away from all that negative, the comments. You actually got a chance to really get to know the city. How has your initial opinions on the town changed or evolved over this time?
I always think of like, okay, so Chief Hudson, you guys, the police chief, if you know him at all, he was like the prime example of what we tried to do, and he moved here after us. But as you can see, like, I mean, I got my Huskers gear on. Jace is involved in the play here. So we just came and we're like, we're going to get involved in everything and make the best of it. And that's exactly what Chief Hudson did. He moved from L.A. I mean, he's from Nebraska, but he most recently came from the L.A. Police Department and moved back to North Platte from L.A. to be the police chief. And I thought, what a culture shock. Yeah, he's used to Nebraska, but for the X amount of years, L.A.'s been his life. Right. And so he moved back here. He is like the best. He is making so much change and so much good happen for our community. He's doing these Coffee with a Cop where he's just like becoming personable to the community. He's going to Husker games. He's the front runner of like, we had a parade for Nebraska Land Days. He's in the front shaking hands, kissing babies, and just like getting so excited. And I thought that's the perfect example of like, maybe you came from a bigger town, but you come here and you're just going to get involved in everything. He's at every event. He's everywhere. You see that guy everything. Anytime the town has an event, he's there.
And it's not like he's in uniform or even representing the police department. He and his wife literally just go to everything.
To be involved.
Like just to be involved and something to do and you know.
That's what we try and do. So it's like, all right, I'm going to live there. I'm going to buy the Husker gear. Jace is involved in the Playhouse. I choreographed a musical at the Playhouse and the high school. So I'm trying to, you know, get involved as much as I can outside my work schedule. And I've always like, I don't let the haters get me down. Like when I saw those messages, I kind of am motivated by people telling me like that I can't or shouldn't do something. That's like my biggest motivation. Like I was going to try out to work at Disney World and somebody told me, oh, like millions and hundreds and thousands of people try out to you'll never get it. And that motivated me. And I tried out and I made it because I had that fire under my butt of like, you can't do it. You shouldn't do it. So when people were like, oh, you should move here, I kind of was like, I always just kind of like to prove people wrong, sort of.
And then do it twice, kind of thing.
Yeah, exactly.
Prove them wrong and then do it twice.
Yeah, there you go.
For 5 years, nonetheless.
So we're just trying to get involved in everything we can. So we work a lot, but then on our days off, you know, we have a non-traditional work schedule. We have Mondays and Tuesdays off. And so we can get involved in random stuff that maybe Monday through Friday people couldn't. So that's been a blessing. And Jace has been in 2 plays now.
3.
Wait, 3?
Yeah, so I was in Seussical, where I played Yertle the Turtle. Then I was in Gilligan's Island, where I played Thurston Howell the Third. And then now I'm in Into the Woods as the wolf.
What a good wife. I forgot.
Yeah.
It was so good I forgot.
Yeah.
But we've just done so much to get involved, and I think that that's been fun for us. Because, like, okay, so say we moved here and we, you know, listened to the comments and we're like, this is going to suck, and then we, like, believed them. Think about how much different that would be if we just sat in our apartment, did nothing, didn't get out, didn't try and go and be social, didn't get involved. We wouldn't have had as great of an experience as we've had.
No.
I think it is what you make it.
Yeah.
100%.
Oh, yeah.
Where you guys have gotten involved, you've gotten to meet the people, you've made friends, you've definitely connected with the community. You made it what you wanted it to be. If you wanted to listen to those people, it would have been a really crappy experience.
And I'm having a hard time seeing the negative. I mean, seriously, because, okay, listen to this. I don't have a commute. I don't have to take I-15 for 30 minutes to get to my work. I can go home. Like, I've never lived anywhere so close to my work that I can, like, oh, I spilled ketchup on my shirt, I'm going to go home. Like, never. It's just like, well, that's what you're living with because you're an hour round trip from work.
Yeah.
Or from home. So I can run home if I have to. I don't have a commute. Rent is cheap. Cost of living is down. I mean, I just was like, this is a blessing. No traffic jams, no rush hour traffic, all these things that I was dealing with living in a big city. I don't have to deal with that here. It's great.
I think you and I have talked about that, how I think a lot of people take for granted the fact that you can get clear across the town in 10 minutes. 15 if there's a tractor in front of you.
Oh, you don't even have to put in Google Maps. You just know everything's 10 minutes away.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. I mean, the only time you have to use Google Maps is if you've never been there to a
Right.
person's house and you want to know exactly where. Because I've never been here before. Like, this is the first time being at this location. Yeah.
Hey.
So I had to look it up, and I'm like, but even looking at it on the map instead of getting directions, I'm like, oh, there it is.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I just drove there. Yeah.
Yep, towards the lake.
And to echo your sentiment, because I grew up in Denver. Ginger's from the Cheyenne area.
Okay.
So you know what it's like to, like you said, no commute. You can drive home for lunch, go back to work, that kind of stuff.
It's a blessing.
It
really is. And we're not, I mean, if you're looking for bigger places like Kearney, North Platte always gets compared to Kearney, as you guys have probably picked up on.
Yeah.
Lincoln, it is a little bit of a drive, but it's not so far away that you can't get out and go do a couple of things and then come back. But for the most part, I mean, if you're looking for something, you can find it here. For the most part.
And it's stressful, like, when I go back to the big city. Like, we went home for Christmas last year, and I forgot how to drive on the freeway. Seriously. A 5-lane highway, I was going 50 miles an hour. Everyone's going 90, 100%. Just like, beep! And I was just like, oh my gosh, I forgot about traffic. I forgot about people. I didn't know how to merge. I was just like, I was going 50.
It was hilarious.
It was scary. I was like, Jace, you were driving the rest of the time we're here because I forgot how to drive. Like, I forgot how to be around crowds, and I got stressed, and then we went to City Creek Mall to try and park. Okay? In like a 3-level parking garage.
In downtown Salt Lake.
I was like, I have to get out and you have to drive, and you're finding that it was because it was around Christmas.
It was so
at a mall.
funny.
I was like, I forgot that there was other people in the world.
We went back home and surprised our family for Christmas, being like, "Yeah, we're here." You know,
we didn't tell anyone we were coming home for Christmas.
Yeah.
We just rolled up, and just knocked on the door.
Yeah.
Oh, how fun.
And so we had a sign that was like, Merry Christmas or whatever.
Surprise.
Yeah. And anyway, so we usually stay at my parents' house when we go because they have a couple extra bedrooms. And so we go surprise my parents. And I was like, hey, Mom, do you mind if we borrow your car to go surprise Holly's parents? She's like, yeah, that's fine. And so we jump in the car and I'm getting on the freeway. Mind you, we had taken an Uber to my parents' house from the airport.
Yeah, because we don't want to tell them we're in town. Like, hey, come pick us up from the airport. So we got an Uber there. And then we're like, just park at this house and we'll walk up the hill.
Yeah. And so I start getting on the freeway. And I mean, it's not snowing, but it's winter, right? In Utah. And so it automatically just kind of makes you a little bit nervous at night and things like that. But I like pull onto the freeway and I feel like I'm going 300 miles an hour, but people are passing me like I'm going backwards.
Yeah.
Like it was so stressful. I almost stayed in the right-hand lane. And mind you, there are 4-lane highways and freeways in Salt Lake City. And so I'm in the like far right-hand lane doing my 65 or whatever, thinking I'm just, going crazy. And finally, like after a minute, I got used to the speeds and I was able to merge and do all that kind of stuff. But man, that first 10 minutes of driving, I was like, where am I? This is insane.
Including the HOV. You got 5 lanes across. We don't even have that.
No.
I mean, maybe Omaha, but I'm like, we never go on those situations. It's just two lanes. That's
it.
Yeah. And
that was our commute every single day. I mean, we had to take freeways and stuff like that to get to work every single day for years. And then to go back, to come here for 6 months or whatever it was before we went back for Christmas, we had adapted in that short amount of time of like just the way things were.
But here's the thing is everyone is in such a hurry there. They don't have time for you. Yeah. Like tell them about like when we first moved here, how shocked you were that lady just came up and started talking to you at Walmart.
Oh, so it was our first night in North Platte and our parents had come with us to help us move in and things like that. And we go to Walmart and I'm sitting there looking for supplies and this old lady taps me on the shoulder and I'm like, Me?
What? No, I'm not your grandson.
Yeah.
You confuse me for someone else. No, she just literally will talk to you even if she doesn't know you.
Yeah, and she's like, could you do me a favor and reach that for me? And I was like, yeah, and I grabbed it for her and she's like, you're so nice. Thank you so much. Yeah. And I was like,
thank you, Sonny.
Yeah. Those interactions don't happen. Like, I don't think people realize the Nebraska nice is a real thing.
Yeah. We had culture shock. It was kind of in a good way, though, because Salt Lake is like, don't speak unless spoken to, stay in your lane, literally. And here, I can be pulled over just getting, like, I'll pull over, get directions on my phone or something. Someone pulls over within 5 seconds to ask if I'm broken down, if I need to change a tire, if I'm cool. I've had that so many times where I'm just pulled over, either trying to get something or making a phone call, and people will pull over. It's not like it would happen, but it would take much longer. You'd have to be on the, there are far and few, but people are so busy with their lives because they got commutes, they got traffic, they have to drive 40 minutes to pick up their kids from, soccer whatever it is. And so they're so busy with their own lives, they don't have time for you. Where here, people don't have all those extra, things in their way, all that extra crap.
Because we don't have a commute.
We don't have a commute, and we don't have
5 minutes
traffic,
everywhere.
And we don't have everything spread out, and all-star cheers here, and soccer's here, and this. It's all here. And so they have time for you. Where in Salt Lake, it's like, don't engage unless you know the person. And here, you don't have to know the person, and they'll say hi and be really friendly.
Well, and most of the time, what's funny is, like, if you sit there and talk to them long enough, you both know a lot of the same people.
Mm-hmm.
Like, true. I mean,
you could play 6 degrees to anybody in this town.
You Jackie Arms.
Yeah.
All right?
Exactly.
Everybody knows Jackie. Everybody knows our boss.
Knows Jackie.
Yeah.
So, but that's the thing. She's been here forever. She's the perfect boss for what we do because I'm like, hey, I want to do a story on this. Oh, well, I got da-da-da's number. Okay, great. It's perfect because she knows everyone. So that's been a blessing for us to plug us into the social pipeline.
Where all the cool kids are at,
Well, and like you were saying, especially with your job, you could have listened to all that negativity and stayed in your apartment, but it would not have been a benefit to your careers because you have to get out and know some of these people and make those connections in order to get
the stories. Yeah.
Exactly. And to care. Because that's something that you can certainly, I'm not going to call anybody out by name, and they're certainly not there now. But for the longest time, KNOP and Ginger can back me up on this, has been that stepping stone station.
Yeah,
sure.
You know what I mean? Kids get right out of college. Yep. They come here.
We understand that.
Yeah. And there have been a few over the years that you see them as and it's just this gut feeling. As soon as you see them, it's like they're out of here the first chance they get.
Oh, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Which there's nothing wrong with that. They want to advance their career. Yeah. Like, I get it.
Their experience.
But you can tell right away they're just like...
They're not in it.
They're not in it.
Yeah.
They would rather do the story, get their resume built up, get the hell out of here.
Yeah, they're not buying the Huskers gear from... Glitter, Plato's Closet.
Whereas there's other people like yourselves and others that have, even if they have moved on, they're still just they get involved. They get to know people. They build a part of the community and become part of the community. And I think overall people can tell if you care or not in your reports. And I mean, I've seen your guys' stuff. You do care.
Well, thank you.
Right. We certainly, we really do.
It's been a blessing. And like, you know, when we do talk about, because in our TV career, how it works is they give you a 2-year contract. And then after 2 years, you can either renegotiate and stay, or you can move on to another station. Well, we're coming up on our 2-year contract. It'll be up next summer. And we're like, oh, crap, that's when you start thinking about what's next. And I was like, I have made so many relationships here that, like, if and when we leave, that's going to be so hard for me. What am I going to do when I don't see, you know, the pet of the week coming on from For the Love of Pause? And what am I going to do when I can't just ride my bike to now Baumgar Shopco and just pick up a couple things on my bike? And, you know, I didn't even have to take the freeway or anything. So there's going to be so many things that, like, these little connections and little things that I found that I love to do, going to the library on my day off, going to my kettlebell class at the gym 3 days a week. There's all these things that I can't get in a bigger area. That's going to be really hard for me to leave behind. Yeah. It's just like, it's a nugget of a place. And honestly, I was telling Jace this, and if you guys are looking for a job in TV news, don't listen to this part because you'll get a job. Yeah. But I was like, if the word got out about how awesome Jackie is and how awesome our TV station is and how great of a training ground it is, there would be no jobs here. It would be like, there would be a waiting list
100%
to get a job here, because I've had 3 news directors I've worked at 3 different TV stations, and she's the best one I've had because she's empathetic. She's not a boss. She's not like a leader. She's in the trenches. She's editing on the computers. She's putting in lower thirds and graphics if you needed her help. She's not just sitting in the corner office making like executive decisions. She's like in there in the trenches. She gets it. She's working with you. And she'll go to bat for you when those negative Nellies call the station and they're mad about X, Y, and Z. She doesn't just bend at the first sign of adversity. She will stand up for you.
Yeah.
Right. Which is awesome. And we've had reporters that were like, you know what I mean? Like, I hope you get through this. And Jackie 100% is always in their corner. Like, well, what can we do to make this better? Like, you know, cheerleader. Just always on your side.
And if people if that word really did get out, there would be a waiting list to come and work here.
I've heard that a few other times from other reporters that have been here in the past about how good of a training ground this is.
Oh, it's so great.
And
amazing.
How, I think we've been here for a while. We all know how wonderful Jackie is.
Yes.
But you can tell from you guys that she's definitely that amazing mentor that you know a lot of these people coming out of school, whatever it may be, need to be able to kind of advance.
Well, and I think people get an impression of somebody based on them being on TV. I mean, she's been on KNOP for a long time, so people see that aspect of her. They don't get to see her off the air being an actual person.
Yes.
So it made that's why when we were doing our podcast leading up to drinking habits, I said for people who only see her on TV, need to come and see how funny she is.
She is. She's funny.
And she has 2 different sides. I mean, she has her professional TV. We all kind of do. You know,
everybody does. Yeah.
I have work Holly and I have personal Holly, and it's the same thing with her. I mean, she's professional on air, but then behind the scenes, you don't see that she's staying till 6, 7 o'clock at night when she's supposed to be off at 4 or 5 because someone needed help. You don't see that she's offering to come in on her day off because we're overwhelmed, and we don't see that she goes and gasses up the cars and makes sure that they're all ready for us when we have a snow day, brings in chili on days she knows we can't leave to go get our own lunch. So she's so good. And who was I talking to the other day? I think it was our meteorologist, and I was like, all right, we got to start thinking about the future. Like, what do we do when Jackie retires? And we're like, oh my God.
I think everybody had a stroke. We're like, wait, what? Is that a possibility? That can't happen, right?
That can't happen. What's going to happen to the station if Jackie decides to retire? And I couldn't even think about it. I couldn't fathom what's going to happen if and when she retires.
Well, and one thing about it too is you will never hear her say anything negative about somebody, which is a hard thing to do, right? I mean, everybody has something to say, and even because I mean, you hear stories about different people and things like that have come through North Platte, and some of the reporters might have opinions on them and things like that. You will never hear Jackie say anything. Like, she is 100% positive about everybody, has nothing but great things to say.
Professional. Like, we did have to fire one person while we've been here, and super professional, tight-lipped. I have no idea why they got fired.
No, I have no idea.
She just won't. She won't spill the tea. Yeah. So if you want someone to spill the tea with and have the goss, probably not her.
Yeah,
she's
definitely
not dropping
not
the hot goss. Yeah. But that's good though, right? So if I mess up, she's not going to go spread it to everybody.
It's great.
My first experience with Jackie, I was here less than a year, just started doing radio. And they were going to allow media in the courtroom for a case. And this was, and you may remember, it was a guy who had killed a little girl.
Oh, yeah.
and they were going to allow the media in radio, TV, video, everything. So the day before, it's me, because I was the news director de facto. Like, I just started, and they're like, "We need a news director. Can you do it?" And I'm like, "Okay."
Process of elimination. Okay.
Yeah, like I just walked in the door, and okay,
great, instant promotion.
right? And the other radio people, and then Jackie was there with, I think, whoever was going to be your camera person at the time.
Okay.
And we were getting a lay of the land and where to hook into microphones and all that kind of stuff. So we're all going over the ground rules. And, we're reminding ourselves, like, we have to shut off our phones, all of that. And I'm standing there, and this is, again, the day before. I'm wearing, like, a jersey and ripped up jeans because I work at a rock radio station.
Oh, no.
But I'm also the news director, so I have my little news badge.
Just looking like a felon.
Yeah, just looking like I'm like, I can sneak out of this place if I just mesh with these people. So... And she's like, well, yeah, let's make sure we silence our cell phones and we can't make any disruption, and make sure that all of our equipment doesn't make noise. And she literally looks at me and she just goes, and make sure to look presentable.
No, she did not.
Yes, she did. She like pointed, and I think she didn't mean it directly at me, but she's like, make sure to look presentable. But it was like one of those, like, I think hilarious. Subconscious, because I looked the least presentable of everybody in the room. And I'm like, the fuck? She just called me. I'm in radio. I'm like, oh my. So I went back to the station. I'm like, I cannot believe that woman from the TV, because I didn't know her. You know what I mean at the time.
She got her slacks and heels on, and I got my FUBU jersey on.
Yeah, and ripped up jeans. Like, who the hell is she? And I was like, I'm gonna look worse tomorrow.
Yeah,
because I'm in radio.
Just
I don't
to spite her. I'm gonna come straight from the Lincoln County Correctional Facility and just ask them if I can put on one of their.
Orange,
yeah.
Right. But I mean, it's one of those things that, as as the years go by and you get to know her, it's like, okay, she was just. I mean, that's her. Yeah. That's her job.
Yeah, sure.
Well, you know what I mean? And she wasn't calling anybody out in particular. It's just she happened to look at me and. Granted, I was the least presentable person in the room.
But when you're on radio, who cares? Nobody could see you.
Yeah.
Right,
it doesn't matter.
But I had to remember, it's like, okay, I've been to court before.
Yeah.
I had to put on a nice shirt then, so I should probably put on a nice shirt now.
Yeah. That's funny.
But yeah, those initial impressions that you get of people, especially people on TV. You're like, oh my God, she's so cold.
Yeah.
But she's not.
Well, because now you've done a play with her. So now what's your opinion of her now?
Oh, my opinion it had changed since
Before
then.
That.
But even now, even more, it's like I like her even more because you get to see another side. I mean, the more you get to know people, the more sides you get to see.
With her hair down.
Well, and in media for her, though, you've also got to remember she wears so many different hats, but one of those hats that she almost never takes off is like training and recruiting.
Yeah.
So like she's always in training mode. She's always in recruiting mode. Like she, that's essentially one of her main jobs here because of, being in a small market. And as you even called it, a starter market and that sort of thing. She has to be like that all the time. And she never is really calling anybody out in particular, but she's just letting everybody know, hey, this is the expectation,
Right.
Yeah. She'll even do that to our new reporters of like, you can't be doing that with your face. We need like a darker lip or red lip or whatever. And she tells them how they have to look.
But it's always for your own benefit.
Right.
I mean, it's not like she's telling you stuff that is trying to make you feel bad. But she's like, look, this is what people are going to call in and say, or that impression it's going to give off. Let's prevent that,
So when it comes to doing stuff at the TV station, and taking into account all of your experience with North Platte over the last year and a half, the initial wave of negativity, then the positivity that influx that came in, and all those things, does that ever? Do you guys ever worry about that when you're doing a story? Because like recently I saw for, and I can't remember what organization it was for, unfortunately, but it was really well put together, the zombie outbreak video.
Yeah.
That you guys
was
did.
for the Region 51 Emergency Management called us and asked us to put together a little faux newscast.
Mm-hmm. Do you ever worry about the feedback you're going to get from some of that stuff?
I do, only really in the Facebook comment section. That's where people sound off. I mean, you can see with my posts, that's where they sound off. They hide behind a screen and they think that because they're on the internet, they're completely anonymous.
Drives us nuts.
Yeah. I'm sure you guys get that too.
Hate it.
So when I post something that may be semi-controversial, because I've been trying to do more hard news, hard-hitting stories rather than just the typical, small town pancake feeds, which are great, but I try and do the hard news stuff because that's what when we've done focus group, that's what they say they want to hear about is the hard news that's affecting locals. So when I do those stories, I try not to look at the comment section of when I post the link to Facebook, but Of course I do.
It's
and
hard
that's
not
where
to do
people
that.
go crazy. Yeah, and I'm like, well, I want to see what people are saying, but then I'm like, I also don't want to see. And several of my stories have made the rant page, the Facebook rant page that we have.
Yeah,
And I have to be on it for news reasons. I mean, I do get some stories off of that page occasionally. Mostly it's just people complaining, but sometimes there is a legitimate thing I can follow up for a news story. But I've made the rant, not me personally, but my story's made the rant page several times, and I thought, okay, maybe I kind of get like a little badge of honor, like a little stripe, like on my belt, because it's like, all right, I did a hard-hitting enough news story that it caused conversation.
Right.
So I don't mind it too much, but yeah, people, they'll either call in or they'll sound off on our Facebook page, and those are the two where I kind of try to ignore, because if I feel good about it and my boss feels good about it, then that's all that matters. Is, the person paying my bills and me, we feel good about it. Then I'm fine to do those stories.
But you always have to remember that everybody has something to say.
Right.
And as she said, it's like the little Facebook warriors that, for whatever reason, they have a negative opinion about everything. It has nothing to do with the story.
It could be any topic.
Yeah.
And they do have a tendency to be the louder ones.
Right.
Yeah, the negative minority are the most vocal.
Well, so one time Holly wore a dress, and it was actually a really nice dress. And yeah, this is crazy. And someone commented on, because she took a screenshot of something and she put it on there on Facebook, and she's like, "What the F are you wearing?" And
that was her comment.
That was her comment. And Holly's like,
but she spelled out the F word.
Yeah.
Are you serious?
Yeah.
It just said, what it was is it was December 31st. So it was New Year's Eve last year. And I had my coworker take a picture of me at the desk, and I said, "Hey, I hope you guys had a great year. I'll see you on the anchor desk next year, the next day or whatever." And that's what she commented.
Yeah.
What the F are you wearing?
And so someone commented back, and they're like, "It looks like a dress,"
Yeah.
And
they came to my defense.
Yeah.
so many people saw this comment, and they're like, "What is this lady's problem?"
Yeah.
So luckily we do get defenders every now and then that are like, because they know that we can't defend ourselves.
I can't write her back.
And that's
really. I mean, I could, but
that's kind of the cowardice of a lot of these comments, is like, we can't comment back, even if we're like itching, to say something.
it's just not professional to get in a fight.
We
with
never
in the
will.
comment section, so we just don't.
Yeah.
Well, and really, here's the other thing. Like, we've come across some of these things too. Like, who does it serve to even reply back?
Yeah, they're stuck in their ways.
Nobody.
They're not going to change their opinion.
Yeah.
You writing them back isn't going to change their opinion. In fact, so many people came to my defense in the comment section. She deleted her comment. I said nothing. Silence is the best revenge. So I said nothing. And all these people came because they looked at her profile and it said owner of something, something photography. And they're like, as a fellow photographer, I would think this is really unprofessional for you to try and get future clients of people going to your page, seeing that you own a photography company, and you're commenting that on